Good evening, my dear student. Welcome to our English program today. I am honored to be with you today. Sahara Rocky will be with you. Today we are going to have Unit 12 Part 1. هنقابل طبعا على منصة البث المباشر محافظة اسكندرية for third prep student the second term. Our unit entitled Into the Future. From the title of our unit, we can guess that our unit is going to talk about the future, our lives in the future, how it will be. Okay. Before we start, I want to ask you some questions. Have you ever imagined our lives in the future? How will cities look and function differently in the future? How will they look? Are they will be the same? Will they be the same? Or will be different? What will transport be like? What forms of education will be in the future? Will we have different forms of education in our schools? All the answers of these questions can be answered in our unit. Look at this photo and try to imagine our life in the future. Look at the shapes of the building, the means of transport. Of course, our life in the future will be different. There will be new inventions, new ways of doing things, and new problems to solve as well. It's like exploring a whole new world that is both amazing and challenging. Our future will be amazing and challenging. Before we start, let's have some new vocabulary related to our unit. What do we mean by 3D printer? Of course, it's a machine that can make copies of whole objects, 3D, of course. Cycle lane, it's a path, or it's a special place where people can cycle on roads. E-sports player. E means electronical, any game that we can have on the internet. A player of online video games. Electric bus, a bus that works with electricity, of course. It's friendly to the environment. Firefighters, they are people whose job is to put out fires, to save people. Robotic engineer, a person whose job is to design or work with robots. Of course, this job is very famous nowadays, and of course, it will be in the future as well. Transport, all vehicles that can you travel in or carry goods in. Assistant means somebody who helps a person to do their jobs. Device, it's electronic equipment that can do special job. Online learning, education or teaching that you can have on the internet. Population means the population of a country or an area. It's all people who live in it, and all people who live in it. Use as a verb means make or create. Solution, it's a way to solve a problem or answer a question. Temperatures, how hot or cold something is. Virtual reality, what do you mean by that? When a computer makes things that you are in a real situation, using picture and sound, on the internet, that we can see and hear something on the internet. It does not really exist, but it's virtual. Feed, to give food to a person or an animal. Solution, I have just said it. It's a way to deal with or answer a quiz or a question. Let's move to another point. You have some synonym and antonyms. I guess it means hand over, and the antonym is take. Leave means depart, and the antonym is come or arrive. Float means drift, and the antonym is sink. Rise means increase, and the antonym is decrease. Check means examine or something, and the antonym, of course, is ignore. Ability means capability, and the antonym of it inability or disability. to achieve something, to accomplish something, to make it pass. And the antonym is fail. Link means join or connect, and the antonym is disconnect. Professional means qualified person or an expert in his field, of course. And the antonym is mature or amateur. Protect means save, and the antonym is harm or endanger. Succeed means pass or achieve something, and the antonym, of course, is fail. Okay, let's have some suffix and prefix. Of course, we mean by suffix that they are letters are added to the ending of the word to change the part of speech. So print is a verb. If we add er, it becomes a noun printer. Play, if we add er, becomes a player. Predict, if we add ion, becomes prediction. Spain, if we add ish, becomes Spanish. Renew with able becomes renewable adjective. Universe with ity, university, it's a place. Electric with ity becomes electricity. Arab, people, Arab means people, and of course. If we add ic becomes Arabic, it's a language or a nationality. Hero with ic becomes heroic, it's adjective. Robot ic becomes robotic. Present with ation becomes presentation. Populate means with ion becomes population. Assist with ant becomes assistant. Real with ity becomes reality. The last word, equip, the verb equip, becomes with ment becomes equipment. So these are the new words after adding the suffix to these words. Okay, let's continue. Account with ant becomes account. Distant with ce becomes distance. Engineer with ing becomes engineering. Profession with al becomes profession. Qualify with cation becomes qualification. Driver with less becomes drivers. Success with ful becomes successful. What about some prefix? They are letters added to the beginning of word to give the opposite or change the meaning. Do with re becomes redo. Play with re becomes replay. Write with re becomes rewrite. Mind with re becomes remind. The prefix re in most words means again. So do, redo, to do the action again and again. This with appear becomes disappear. Let's move to another point. Let's have some language notes. The verb rise and raise. Rise and raise. They have similar meaning. To means to go up. But we have some little difference here. So want to continue to rise. Notice we don't have any object after rise. The sun rises in the morning. So rise do not follow, doesn't follow with object. Okay. If you want to ask a question, raise your hand. We notice here that raise followed by an object. So with raise, we should have object after it. So the difference between both of these verbs, rise, we don't have a verb after it. Have an object after it, but with raise, we have an object after it. What is the difference between pandemic and epidemic? Recently, we have heard about these two. What's the difference between them? Both of them means serious disease. مرض خطير. What's the difference between them? The difference is not in the severity of the disease. Both of them are seriously dead or seriously make people seriously ill. They can cause death. But the difference in the degree to which it has spread, how fast they spread. Pandemic means widespread. It spread very, very fast, like coronavirus we have recently. Coronavirus pandemic is worrying the whole world. It spread very fast. What about epidemic? Means widespread, but limited, not like pandemic. It's limited to a place. Plague, مرض الطاعون, has become an epidemic in some countries. It's limited to some countries, not all over the world. So this is the main difference between both words. Okay, let's move to another point in our lesson. Look at this picture. What can you see? Some kind of transport. We have this kind of transport these days. Cars that cars that are powered by gasoline, bicycle. What about this picture? Flying cars? Do you think in the future we'll have flying cars? What type of transport do you think we will have or we will use in the future? Of course, we will have different kinds of transport. So we are going to listen now to a conversation, then put the news article in the correct order after listening. Okay, let's start.
Student's Book, Unit 12, Lesson 1, Exercise 1. Listen to the conversations and put the news articles in the correct order, 1 to 4. 1.
Look, this article says that cities across the world are building new cycle lanes. This one is in Beijing, goes above the city. That looks amazing. According to the article, the most popular way to travel in future won't be by fast train or driverless car. It will be by bike. Do you think that's possible? Not really. It's good that some cities are building new cycling lanes, but I think there will always be quicker and easier ways to travel. I think you're right.
2.
So, this article is about the energy that we will use in future.
What does it say?
It says that we will all be using more renewable energy. In fact, by 2050, all of our energy will be renewable.
I agree. We have to change to renewable energy to protect the planet.
Student's Book, Unit 12, Lesson 1.
Okay, wait a minute to continue our conversation. Okay. Okay, let's continue.
Student's Book, Unit 12, Lesson 1, Exercise 1.
What does it say?
It says that we will all be using more renewable energy. In fact, by 2050, all of our energy will be renewable.
I agree. We have to change to renewable energy to protect the planet.
3.
It says here that we will need a lot more scientists in the future. Well, there are already a lot of jobs that people need science for, and in the future, science will be more important. Why? Well, with problems like climate change, we will need new ideas and new technology. We need scientists for this. Oh, yes, I see what you mean.
4.
Look at this esports tournament. 60 million people watched it online.
Yes, esports are becoming really popular.
It says here that esports will be more popular than football by 2030.
I don't think that will happen. Billions of people watch football matches. Esports are popular, but they won't be more popular than football.
No, I don't think they will.
Okay, after listening, listen to the conversations and put the news articles in the correct order. The first one, of course, is done for you. Number 3, the first article talks about transport of the future is bikes. This is number 1. What was number 2? All energy will be renewable by 2050 or 2050, or we will need 50% more scientists by 2040, or esports will become more popular than football by 2030. What's number 2, what's number 3, and what's number 4? Okay, take your time to think. Let's check. Of course, number one with C. The transport of the future is bike. What about number two? Number two with A. All energy will be renewable by 2050. Number three with B. We will need 50% more scientists by 2040. The last thing they talk about, number four with D, esports, of course. Esports will become more popular than football by 2030. Okay. Let's move to another section of our lesson today, reading text. Before we read together, I want to ask you, can you imagine how our lives will be in the future? Will it be the same as we have it now, or it will be different? Technology will affect our life or not? I think it will affect our life, of course. So we have a written text about the technology of tomorrow, the technology of the future. We're going to read the text, then we will answer some question after that. Okay, our title, the technology of tomorrow. Here are three things that could be part of our lives in the future. Floating farms. What do you mean by floating farms? We are going to understand this now. One of the biggest problems we will have in the future is how to feed the world. As the population grows and the sea levels rise, we want to be able to grow the food we need on the farmland. We have farmland on Earth. Land. One solution is to build floating farms on the sea. So the scientists think that we should have floating farm on the sea, on water. The farms will have solar panels, so they will be able to produce their own electricity. This is what we mean by floating farms. Another point, energy shirts. Energy shirts. Shirts that produce energy. How come? Let's read. Have you heard of a shirt that can charge your phone? Scientists have made a new fabric that produces electricity as it moves. When you move, it generates electricity. This means that we will be able to charge our devices as we run or walk outside. Let's move to another point, robot assistants. In the future, we'll have robots to assist us, to help us, of course. When we go to hospitals in the future, we may see doctors, nurses, and robots. During the coronavirus pandemic, robot assistants worked in hospital in Rwanda. They checked people temperatures, collected information, and even reminded people to wear masks. More importantly, they helped to keep hospital workers safe, of course. Okay, after reading, let's have some questions. Number one, which type of technology will help people to have more or better food? Which one of them? Floating farms, energy shirts, or robot assistants? Which one of them? Number two, which type of technology will keep people safe and healthy? Number three, which two types of technology will produce electricity? Okay, let's return. Then we have some other questions. Are these sentences true or false? Try to think, then we will check our answer after that. There won't be enough land to grow food on in the future. After reading the text, there will be enough farmland or not? Floating farm will be able to produce their own electricity. With the energy shirt, we will be able to charge equipment at home as we exercise. The passage says that. Number four, robot assistants have already helped people in hospitals. For the last one, robot assistants help keep hospital workers safe. Okay, let's check our answers. For number one, which type of technology will help people to have more or better food? Of course, floating farms. Number two, which type of technology will keep people safe and healthy? Robot assistants. During pandemics or serious diseases, we will use robot. to help us. Number three, which two types of technology will produce electricity? They talk about two types in our reading text. Of course, floating farms with solar panel and energy shirts. Okay, what about this sentence? Correct or not? There won't be enough land to grow food in the future? Of course. So we are going to have floating farms. Number two, floating farms will be able to produce their own electricity? Of course. They will produce by or through using solar panels. Number three, with the energy shared, we will be able to charge equipment at home as we exercise. The passage didn't say that. It said we will be able to charge the equipment as we carry with us equipment while we are moving outside home. They are recharging through our shirts as we move, not at home. Number four, robot assistants have already helped people in hospital. True, that's true. That really happened. Number five, robot assistant help keep hospital workers safe. Of course, that's true, and this is really happen these days. Okay, let's move to another point. Another listening text talks about the future, of course. Do you think we want to need teacher in the future? Teacher, human being, teachers. We want to need them. We can only learn online. Let's have some point of view here. We are going to listen to the radio interview, then take the things that Dr. Leila Hamad thinks we will be able to do or have in schools in the future. Let's listen how education will be in the future.
Students' Book, Unit 12, Lesson 2, Exercise 6. Listen to the radio interview. Tick the things that Dr. Leila Hamed thinks we will be able to do or have in schools in the future.
Well, we've all got our own ideas about what life will be like in the future. Perhaps we'll be able to control devices with our eyes, or travel in planes that go into space. But what will education be like? Dr. Leila Hamed, an expert in education and technology, is here to tell us more. So, Dr. Leila Hamed, how do you think education will be different in the future?
Well, recently all students have been doing more online learning, and I'm sure that they'll do more of their learning this way in the future.
So, what are the advantages of online learning?
The great thing about online learning is that you don't need lots and lots of books, so you can work anywhere. Students will be able to complete a school project wherever they are, and they won't be able to lose their homework.
That's true. And what kind of new technology could we see in the classroom?
I think 3D printers will be very important in the future. Students will be able to use these to make all kinds of things.
So, will they be able to print anything they like?
No, they won't be able to print very large things or objects made from certain materials, but they will be able to print models and even make their own designs.
Great. I've heard that some
Okay.
places, such
They will be able to
Students' Book, Unit 12, Lesson 2, Exercise.
Okay. We are going to listen now to the rest of it.
Students' Book, Unit 12, Lesson 2, Exercise 6.
some places, such as starting to use robot assistants. Do you think that we could use robot assistants in schools?
No, I don't think so. I think that in future, robots will help with simple jobs in some places, but it would be very difficult to make a robot that could teach a lesson. So I don't think that we will see robots in the classroom.
That's a pity. It would be fun to have a robot teacher.
Well, lessons in the future will definitely be fun. Teachers already use the internet for videos and educational games. In the future, it's going to be even more exciting. Students will be able to use virtual reality to discover new things or explore places that are far away or that existed in the past.
So you think that in a history lesson, students will be able to visit ancient Egypt?
Yes, they will. Of course, the students won't be able to taste the food or smell the flowers, but they will be able to see the people and places.
That does sound exciting. But what about traditional teaching? Will students still listen to the teacher and answer questions? Will they do talks, projects, and presentations?
Yes, of course. These things will always be important. It's the teacher's job to present the lesson and make sure that students understand, but technology will help to make them more exciting.
Well, it's been really interesting talking to you, Dr. Layla Hamed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Student's book.
After listening to this great conversation, it's about our education in the future. We can use robot or we can depend on our teachers as we have now. I think both of them, but we can't neglect the role of our teachers at schools. Of course. Let's listen to the radio, okay? Take the things that Dr. Leila Hamad thinks we will be able to do or have in the school in the future. She talked about some things. The first one already done for you. Online learning, she talked about it. What about 3D printer? Can we have it or not? Virtual reality, robot teachers, and presentation. Try to remember. What did she say? Okay, let's check. Of course, number one, online learning. We are going to have online learning. And number two, we are going to have 3D printer. Number three, virtual reality. We are going to have some. And she talks about number four, we are going to have some presentation. She didn't think that we are going to have a robot teacher in the future. She didn't support the idea. So she talked about number one, number two, number three, and number four. Let's move to another point related to our listening text. Listen again and complete the table. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to listen again. Okay, we should fill these gaps with the words above. Number one is already done for you. Online learning, of course, we will be able to do our homework anywhere. The listening text tell us about that. What about number two? 3D printer, virtual reality, in classroom. Try to think of the answer quickly. What we will be able to do and what we want to be able to do concerning these ideas. Online learning, 3D printer, virtual reality, and in classrooms. Okay, we don't have time. Let's check the answer quickly. Of course, with online learning, we will be able to do our homework anywhere, but we want to be able to lose our homework. Of course, we want to lose it. It's already on the internet. A 3D printer, we will be able to make our own designs, but we will not be able to print very large things. Virtual reality, we can visit places from the past, but we will not be able to taste and smell things. In the classroom, we will be able to do a project and presentation, but we won't be able to work with robots. Okay, now we are going to have a vocabulary exercise. Number one, the dots of a country or an area is all the people who live in it. Number two, the antonym of float is sail, swim, raft, or sing. Number three, refers to any vehicle that you can travel by or carry goods in. To get the opposite of appear, add the prefix this, on, an, or er. The dots of something is a measure of how hot or cold is it. To get the noun from print, add the suffix. Choose. Dots is a special place where people can cycle on routes. We should produce more green energy. We should. Dots it. The synonym of leave is prices usually rise all over the world. The opposite of rise is quickly. Okay, let's check the answer. Of course, number one, population. Population of a country or an area means all people who live in it. Number two, the antonym of float is sink. Sink with S. Number three, transport refers to any vehicle that you can travel by. Number four, to get the opposite of appear, disappear. Something is measured of how hot or cold is it, of course, temperature. A noun from print, printer. We add ER. The place where people can cycle on road, of course, cycle lanes. We should produce more green energy. We should create it. The synonym of leave is deport. Prices usually rise all over the world. The opposite of rise is decrease, of course. Now we are going to have a very different point in our lesson today. It's concerning language. Our lesson will be about the future simple tense. Look at this example. Okay. I think it will rain tomorrow. I think it will rain tomorrow. Will rain. In the future, we will use renewable energy. We'll use renewable energy. So when I want to talk about the future, I can use will plus the base form or the infinitive here without to. When I want to talk about the future, in certain cases, I can use will. Number one, when can I use will to talk about the future? Look at this example. I think an astronaut will walk on Mars, كوكب المريخ, in the next 25 years. What is this? It's a prediction sentence. Prediction, but I don't have an evidence. معيش دليل for it. I think so. Oh, this is what I believe or what I think will happen. This is my opinion, of course. I don't have any evidence for that. He will have a great time on holiday. I don't have any evidence. I hope so. I think so. Okay, when can we use will? To make a sudden decision. To decide something quickly at the time of speaking. What can I get for my friend Jean? I know, I will get her a CD. This is a quick decision. I don't have a plan before. I haven't decided about that before, but it comes to my mind. I'm thirsty, or I will have, or I will get some water. So we can use well when we talk about sudden or quick decision. I will be home before 10, Mom. I will get you a present. I won't let you down. أنا مش هخذلك. So all of these are promises. When you promise someone to do something, we can use well. The opposite is threat. Don't shout at me or I will leave. This is threat. Stop complaining or I won't take you out again. When you threat someone, تهدد يعني someone, you can use well. For request, what we mean by request, ask someone to do something. Will you come to the dentist with me, please? Will you come with me? Will you help me with my report? So when you ask someone for a help, you can use well. And the opposite is offer. You want to do something for someone. I told my mom or I told my little sister, I will help you with your homework. I will help you. This is offer. I will give you a lift to the concert. I will take with you. I will take you with me in my car. I will give you a lift. So when we want to make offer, we can use well. Let's move to another point. I will buy a car in the future. I have a plan. أنا فاهمة plan. No, I don't have a plan at all. But I expect this will happen. I think this will happen. I have no plan or arrangement. But I don't make any preparation for this. I hope so. So when you want to talk about something like this, You use well. I will buy a car in the future. I don't have money. I didn't prepare for anything, but I think I will have a car in the future. Look here. We have some verbs and some expression like think, believe, sure, expect, predict, hope, probably, perhaps, I'm afraid, I'm certain, I'm sure, just decided. All of these expression and verbs, when we have them in a sentence, we can use well. I will probably have a meal. I expect we will lose the match. Of course, we don't have an evidence here, so I expect we will lose the match. So if you see these words in a sentence and you don't have an evidence, so we can use well. We can use well also when we talk about facts in the future, especially about age. When you want to talk about facts in the future, you can use well. Next year, I will be 20 years old. Okay. These are the most keywords for future, express future. In the future, soon, next week, the day after, tomorrow, in 3 days' time, and so on. For example, Ali will wash the car in 2 hours. I will go to the zoo next week. When we want to make a question, look here. Will you go to the seaside next summer? We start with well. Will you go? Yes, I will. Or no, I won't. Okay. How will he go to the park? How will he go? He will go to the park by bus. To form a question in the future, we can use will, comes after the question word, of course, before the subject. How, then will, then the subject, then the base form of the verb, go. Okay. When we talk about ability in the future, when I want to talk about something I will be able to do in the future, we can use what? Can equal am or is or are able to. I can speak English well. I'm able to speak English well. What about the future? I want to talk about the future, not present time. I will use well plus be able to talk about ability in the future. Okay, look here. I don't think we will be able to live on other planets. This is imagination for the future. I think we will not be able to live on other planets. We only will live on Earth. Another example. The farmers will be able to make their own electricity in the future. We just talk about floating farms. They will be able to make their own electricity. Another one, we won't be able to grow the food we need on farmland we have. We will not have the ability in the future to grow enough food on farmland, so we are going to have floating farms. So when we will be able to do something in the future, we use will be able to. When we cannot do something in the future, we use won't be able to. Look at this question. Will scientists be able to find solution for many diseases? This is yes, no question, of course, starting with well, plus subject, plus be able to. Yes, we will, or no, they won't. So when you want to talk about ability in the future, we can use will be able to or won't be able to. What about this question? How will we be able to travel in the future? Of course, I think we will be able to travel in the future on a shuttle. So all of these express ability in the future. So we are going to use will or want plus be able to talk about ability in the future. Okay, let's check what we have understood. Number one, what do you think we will be able to at school in the future? Correct the verb between brackets. It's very windy, so we go to the beach today. Hamid can't find his passport. He traveled to the business meeting in England tomorrow. What do you think the years be like in the future, in the far future? Will temperatures a lot in the future? In 100 years' time, I think people much longer than they do today. Won't dots able grow the food we need on the farmland we have? Tomorrow it rained on the south coast. Of course, this is wrong. I think you get that this is job. Number 10. Are you be able to come? Correct. he will be able to answer the question. You will enjoying visiting Paris. He not pay your money back tomorrow. I need to tell you something, but you not believe me. The last one, how they be able to solve this problem. Okay, try to think of the answer. Okay, let's check our answers. Number one, what do you think we will be able to do at the school in the future? Of course, will be able should follow by 2 plus the infinitive. It's very windy, so we want to go to the beach today. Quick decision, we want to go to the beach. It's windy. Or want to be able to go to the beach. Both of them are correct. Hamid can't find his passport, so he wouldn't be able to travel to the business meeting in England tomorrow. Won't be able to travel. What do you think the Earth will be like in the far future? Will temperature rise a lot in the future? In hundreds years' time, I think people will live much longer than they do today. This is my opinion. We won't be able to grow food we need on farmland we have. We won't be able to. We should have verb to be P before able to. Able to is an adjective. We should use P before it because P is the infinitive form of verb to be. Is or an infinitive form of it is be. So will be or won't be able to. We should or we must have be before able to because it's an adjective. Number 8. Tomorrow it will rain on the south coast. Of course, future. I think you will get this job. Number 10. You'll be able to. Able to is an adjective and preceded by P infinitive form. So we should use will be able to. Will you be able to come to the show tomorrow? Number 11, he will be able to answer the question. Of course, we should have 2 plus infinitive form. Will you enjoy visiting Paris? Will you enjoy visiting Paris? Infinitive here. He will not pay your money back tomorrow. He will not pay. I need to tell you something, but you won't believe me. Number 15, how will they be able to solve this problem? How will they be able to solve this problem? Number 13, we can use will not pay or will not be able to pay. Both of them are correct. It expresses ability or guessing in the future. Okay, so this is the end of our lesson for today. أتمنى تكونوا استفدتم معانا النهاردة. مع تمنياتنا بالتوفيق من منصة البث المباشر محافظة اسكندرية. كان معكم اليوم سحر راقي. Thank you for your listening. See you later.